All right. Welcome to the Forest Brothers podcast, best podcast in the whole wide world. You know what it is. You know what's up. It's your boy Mutsa Kristan out here in the cut, joined by my two brothers Nkosi, Samson, and we have a very special guest today, Mr. Love is Blind himself, the most famous black man in America today, number one show on Netflix. What's up, Kwame?
What's
What's
up?
good?
What's up? What's up?
He
What's
knows
up?
it's
It's
up.
it's temporary. Everybody's gonna forget about me and remember about Michael B. Jordan tomorrow, so it's okay.
Hey, the point is they know you today, so you gotta ride the wave as soon as you can, man. But let me let
hmm
Nkosi say what's up to the people, and then over to you, Samson.
What's up, listeners? We're back. New week, new possibilities. Fast Brothers Podcast is back. I'd like to greet my two brothers here, Mr. Mutza, Mr. Samson, and our special guest today. I think we're graced by some superstars, Mr. Kwame, man from Love is Blind, number one show on Netflix today. So, yeah, I'd feel it's a true honor to have you here, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, dear listener. Welcome back to the Forest Brothers podcast. Once again, I'm joined with my two brothers, Mutsa, Mangor. Great to see you guys. And dear listener, we keep telling you every time we bring a guest on, we keep telling you, but I'm not sure you guys are quite getting it. It's only illustrious guests at the Forest Brothers podcast. And once again, the brothers have delivered. Mr. Kwame, it's great to have you on. I am very keen on what we're going to discuss today, and I'm sure it's going to be a great show. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it, gents.
For real, for
Awesome.
real, for real. So Kwame, to put you on heat in the beginning here, nah,
Uh
just,
oh.
just
Uh
nah, but okay. Like, so first things first, man. I know on the show you talked about you're an ex-professional footballer, and I don't think maybe you had an opportunity to really like expand on your football career. So, where did you play? What country did you play? What position did you play as? Just tell us about your like experience as a professional player.
yeah, for sure. So before I dive in, thank y'all so much for having me on the show. I'm really excited to be here. Um, yeah, excited to chat footy. So to start off with, I started playing soccer really late. At the age of 17, I was terrible. Only had speed, no first touch, no nothing. And so wasn't very good heading out into college. But finished up college, not a great career, put it aside, started working full time. Little did I know, a team was trying out, a team called the Philadelphia Fury, which was a minor league team in Philadelphia at that time, who kind of worked with the union a little bit. They were really trying to build a new league called the ASL. All these things were going on. So I said, heck, I'll try it out. Went out, trained with them, was really fortunate. There were a couple hundred people there. They picked six people to start their base. Boom, they picked me, and I was shook because I wasn't nearly as good as anyone else, but I did have blistering pace, and so that gets you places, you know. So that was my first step into the door, and then from there I hopped around that ASL league for a little bit. Went to another team called the Delaware Stars, so still on that minor level. We were training against top teams. But it wasn't really up there yet. We trained against we played a scrimmage against Ibar actually, and so there was some good talent, and some people
Okay.
looking to go places. But then yeah, after that, I went to an open tryout in Iceland. Just like
Okay.
actually no, I started the open tryout in Virginia. A guy from Iceland came, said, "Hey, you look like a decent player. I can't sign you now, but if you're ever around, let me know." And so I went there for vacation, hit him up. He was like, come train with us. And, the tiers drop pretty quickly in Iceland.
Mm.
So first division's really good. Second division's pretty good. Third division, not so much. I trained with a third division team, destroyed them. Like, I think I might have had like 13 goals in that training session. It was nuts. And so there's a guy running around the track. He comes up to me and is like, hey, who are you? Like, what are you doing here? And I was like, hey, I'm just here to train, and here for vacation. So he said, I'm actually the first team coach for a team called Haukar, which was in the first division in Iceland. He
Okay.
said, come train with us. I trained with them one game or one training session, did terrible, by the way. But he said, hey, come play a game with us. I said, fine. I played the game with them. Boom, scored a first half hat trick. And that's when everything kind of changed. from that point on, trained with them for a little bit, and then went to Latvia, Estonia. My cousin was playing in Belgium at the time, so I went out there to hang out with them a little bit, see if I could actually gain some footing. Ended up
Yeah.
staying for a tiny bit, but not really on an official contract yet. And that was he was playing at Genk actually, which that was when Wilfred Ndidi was there, Samata was there,
Wow.
Leon Bailey was there. So I was around good talent, saw them playing. Like tried to get the structure of things, but like I'm just not at that point. I still don't believe I was at that level.
Mm.
And so like I said, I started really late, so it took me quite a while to get that like first touch mentality. But I would say like that was by far the best talent that I got to be around.
So
Was
you're
like
playing like Lukaku then? That's how you were.
so
My man was
oh,
Lukaku out there. Pace, but no first touch, man.
pace, no first touch. And so yeah, played around there, but throughout that time, got some really good opportunities. Played against some Europa League sides, played against some Champions League sides. So got to play at a really good level. In between like the transition from Iceland all the way through through Latvia and all that. Like throughout those 3 or 4 countries, played a lot of good talent, and then ended up in Sweden where I was playing for a fourth division team, and that was where I landed. And the goal was to from there sign for a first division team, which was actually they were showing up to our training sessions and our games because during season break of that season, I was the top points getter in the country, which, obviously points, you're talking goals and assists. And the first game back from season break, someone went after my right ankle. Boom, snap, played the rest of the season on an injured ankle, and then went to my tryout with that team afterwards.
Oh,
Could not bend my ankle straight, so I could not strike the ball. So I could only do kind of insteps and curls, and just didn't make the team. And then came back to the U.S., tried to rehab for a year, and yeah, just never got back to where I was. So that's the beginning and end of my playing career, man. Tragic.
so what? How many years was that between when you
Um,
started in the USA and when you got that injury in Norway, in Sweden?
um,
Sorry.
yeah, no worries. So I started in USA, I think 2015, and then
Okay.
ended 2019. So in terms of like all the way from semi-pro to pro, and then back to semi with an opportunity to go back pro, was about 3 years, 3.5 years.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
that's mad. Yeah. So Kwame, I
Yeah.
guess if you're saying you had pace, man, why were you not a track star? Why were you not out there on the track, man?
I should have
Running.
been, man. I should have been. I really should have been. I should have gotten out there, should have done some stuff, but I was so attracted to, because I got here at a late age. And so I was so attracted to the American culture that I wanted to do all American things. And the American things were like football and basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay,
those are
that
the
makes
things that I
sense.
was attracted to. Yeah.
All right. So final question on this: who's the biggest footballer that you met, like professionally? Like who was the biggest guy? Like I tell me a story about how you met Messi, for example.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? Um, I mean, you have like the De Bruyne's and Lukaku's who would come back to a Genk training session. Because like the seasons are a little bit offset, so they have a little bit of time, like lap over between. But I'm thinking about an opportunity to where like real game, real opportunity. Um, it would probably be a guy, a guy named I'm forgetting his name, which is really weird, but he was a Brazilian who had played for like Flamengo. Like he played for like how serious it is in Brazil. These guys are ridiculous, and he was playing for uh, a club in Estonia called, I think it was JK Narvatrans. And this guy had just played like I looked at his playing resume. He's one of those guys like at that point in time when I played against all these other stars, they were beginning their careers. But this guy had gone through. He like played with like original Ronaldo and like
Wow.
Ronaldinho. So it's almost like playing with a level by association, where it's like if you were on the same field with R9 and Ronaldinho, like, bro,
Yeah.
just by transcendent point, like, I'm just like, that's crazy, bro. Because, like, if I could step on the same field as one of those guys, man, that would make my life. And so yeah, I forget his name, man, but he was a 10 for this Estonian team, and you could just tell because the guy was like older, had to be like
Okay.
35, but like, man, he just knew what to do. He knew when the ball was coming. He knew where everybody was. He was just straight up one touches in behind the ball, like in behind the line, and that was one of the greatest moments because you got to see someone who had that level of play and understanding before. You know what I mean? Like if I play with De Bruyne today, it'd be a different story. But that guy was like, he was the man.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're about to make it seem like De Bruyne and Lukaku are not it right now. Like, yeah, you saw those guys, man. Like De Bruyne's about to win, the EPL, maybe even Champions League. So yeah, you rub some shoulders, man. And I'm sure you and Lukaku would laugh about your first touches every now and then. So
Oh, my first touch is better than his, man.
Lukaku, if you listen to this podcast, man, you've been called out.
Nah. It's so funny because training is so different from matches where like if you ping Lukaku a ball from 70 yards out, like that man can probably literally trap it within an inch of himself at training. But then the
Yeah.
game comes and everything changes. So that is a dynamic that is really interesting.
You
Okay.
know,
Okay.
as a like a player like who plays like forward, like who are like like each player has like videos they watch of like pros out there. Who was like the one that you had like on recorders, like, oh, this one I'm definitely watching this one just to see how they move.
Drogba. That man is the GOAT. He's the reason why, well, him and Essien are the reason why I'm a Chelsea fan. Yeah, without a doubt. That man can move like, because he was a big dude, and so he moved stiffly, right? And so, like, me being 6 foot, it's like, not every 6 foot person moves like Ronaldo, you know what I mean? Like, you have certain ways you can only make certain cuts and certain movements. And like, man, Drogba just knows how to use his body like nobody else does. And he just like very simple. It's like, yeah, it's crazy. So Drogba. And obviously you could talk about like Henry as well. Like Henry was pretty wild. Henry is, one of the greatest. For me, I rate Drogba in that face to face. But yeah, they're both goats and man, it's really tough. Yeah. But both of them, incredible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just a quick follow up here. Like when you look at like your playing career, what kind of like striker would you describe yourself as? Like a target man, one that's more dynamic, gets in behind, a prolific finisher, or someone who actually just drops into like the midfield and becomes like, as Mutta likes to call it, a Harry Kane.
I think it depends who I play with. If I play with lower level talent, because like, now that I'm playing kind of in the neighborhoods, it all varies, right? And so if I play at the lower levels, I like to drop back a lot more because I'm good with taking the ball and taking people on. I played winger for a little bit while I was in Sweden. And so like I'm good with putting the ball at my feet, doing one or two moves, one or two step overs. I'm not a big step over guy, but like I'll body feint and get past you. And so I'm comfortable at my feet. And in indoor, you would see it like in indoor, I'm very pana heavy, right? Like I know how to move the ball around. But if I'm playing at the highest level, it's definitely runs in behind and just like hitting corners because I love to isolate one defender, get the ball to my feet, and I'm a conscious forward where like I don't think I just want to score. It's just like I want to beat the defender that's in front of me and figure out how we can get up. And so I like to hold on to the ball, beat one defender, take it in. And I would say as a striker on the team that I play on, I usually get more assists than I do goals because I still have a bit of pace. People usually follow me out. And when they follow me, it's just like if it's one-on-one, I'll probably take them on because at this age, if I tap a ball past the guy, he's probably not catching me. And then it's just, it's just me goalie, and then usually when my player is in, so I just lay the ball back. I love layoffs and yeah, so running diagonal. Yeah.
Kwame, I am like kind of just blown away by your story. Like, you're saying at 17 you did not know how to play, and then like what, 6, 7 years later you are playing professionally in Europe. To me, that's incredible. So I just wanted to ask, what what was that change that helped you go from uh, being a player who is not so great in terms of like your knowledge of the game, understand what's happening, using your feet, and all that stuff, to actually becoming a player who can get on the pitch and play with a professional team? Like, is it was it all in training? Was it the experience of games? Was it a buildup of confidence? Like, what helped you, um, you know, break through at each level you were breaking through at?
That's Samson. That's a great question, my man. So I would say at every different level, it was different. when when I started in high school, it was purely pace, right? And so it became about figuring out how to finish one time. Because every time they would play me the ball through, it would just be me and goalie because nobody was going to catch me. And then when I got to college, it became a bit more complicated. You had fast center backs, and so it became we when I went to a college called Goldie Beacom, the little Division 2, and we had the little racquetball court that was kind of all cemented around, and so the ball in the wall became the goal, right? I was at the wall maybe two hours a day, 5 days a week, kicking the ball at the wall, just getting a sense of how to get my touches right. So I don't think I really hit my full extent while I was there, but that repetition, that kind of 10,000 hours set up, it got me closer to that. And then when I became like even like semi-pro, like I mean, I don't know. For me, I consider if you're getting paid, you're pro. So we'll call it pro when I hit in Philly Fury. And so at that level, I remember our first training session. We were doing a possession drill and it was all one touch. And fam, I was lost. I was lost. The ball's coming with me, and my thoughts are like, okay, I want to control this, because at that point in time, I don't think you have enough brain power to mix with your feet. I really do think no, I do genuinely believe football is the hardest sport in the world. Soccer is the hardest sport in the world. Like, because I've played a lot of sports, and there's no other sport that gives you such limited reaction time to where if you hit the ball by a centimeter off based on the angle that it's coming to you, it's going somewhere completely different. So yeah, the one touch training drills that we did there definitely took me that step up. So it started with my pace, then it came to a lot of training against the wall, then it went to one touch possession drills. Those like that changed everything for me, right? Because I started to think about my next move before the ball was coming every single time. And so I became really, really good at one thing, which was before the ball would hit me, I would have planned my next attacking move. Right. And so I scream at my teammates all the time now because obviously they're not at that level. um, I play at on one team that's pretty damn good, but most of the teams I play on, they're not on that level. So the ball will be coming to them. And my first instinct is, oh yeah, there's the gap. I'm going to make the run. And then I start making the run and then they control it and turn the other direction, And like that is the biggest difference between a decent or a good soccer player and a great player is planning ahead to the attack before it comes to you, right? My motto is if you can attack, attack, right? And so with all those things put in play, I think the final piece that brought me to like being able to be good enough on the field with great players was coaching. I started coaching with a bunch of people in the US. I started coaching with a guy named Mike Kleiner, who was amazing. He was, he played for University of Maryland back when they were like incredible. He played with like a bunch of back in the day when I forget oh my gosh, what club is it? It was a New York Cosmos, if you remember them. When New York Cosmos were like the greatest thing in the US, like before MLS even, I think it was, they had a bunch of Brazilian players, and he used to play against them. And so this guy's just a coaching whiz. You know, he knows all the technical drills. So he took me under his wing, helped me for about 2 to 3 years as I was transitioning, trying to figure out how to play. And that's what it all came down to. So started with my pace, lent to getting the practice and work ethic against the wall. Then it went to understanding how to, make my decision before it happens. And then I learned the foundation, the real foundation of football from Mike Kleinert. And that's what all comes together to make me the player that I am now. Yeah.
That's mad interesting, man.
Mhm.
New York Cosmos, as soon as you said that, I just remembered, I think what's his name? Pele used to play for the Cosmos.
Pele plays for the Cosmos.
that is insane that you were coaching with a guy who played against the Cosmos like that.
Yeah.
Like he must have been insane to even shed the pitch, to be honest. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, he was. It's so crazy because he said, like, in college, I think he played a center mid, attacking mid, and like you'll see because he's an older white guy. I think he's in his 60s now. Yeah, and like it's so nuts playing with him because he just knows the game, man. He knows how to turn, how to play, where to fake it. It's so nuts, man. Like, I wish we retained the youth in our body as our minds grew, because a 60-year-old player with a 30-year-old body would be unbelievable, bro. Unbelievable. So, yeah, I did notice a lot about how to, like, really, really play most of the game up here, man. They teach you a lot.
I mean, that's Ronaldo, right? That's gonna be Ronaldo. 60-year-old with the 60-year-old but that 30-year-old body. Like, that's gonna be my goat. Which actually brings me to a very controversial question, Kwame. And this might even get you in trouble. This might even get you in trouble.
I know what's coming.
Who is the GOAT? Kwame, who's your GOAT? Ronaldo or Messi? Who's your GOAT? Tell us right now, right here. Tell the people. Tell the world, Kwame, so they know where you stand, man.
Yeah, listen, this is going to be a hard one. And it hurts my heart to say because Cristiano Ronaldo is my favorite player. Like, he's my favorite player of all time. If I had a starting 11, my favorite striker is Drogba, but my favorite player out now is Ronaldo. And so I want him to be the GOAT. I do, but I got to be real with myself. I think based on accomplishments, I think based on overall longevity and like circumstance, it's got to be Lionel Messi. Man.
Hey, listen, man. If you get in trouble for that answer, don't come and blame us. Like, the right answer is always Ronaldo. Okay, Kwame.
Man, you don't know how much it hurts to say that. I had to start saying that after the World Cup. Like, I remember everyone was talking so much trash to me, like, no, Ronaldo. And then after the World Cup, I couldn't, you got to be reasonable.
Okay, no. We can't talk about the World Cup because, in our humble opinion, the World Cup was bought. Those referees made sure.
Wait, hold on.
We're not gonna talk about that. We're not gonna.
Your humble opinion.
In my humble opinion,
let's
everything. Yeah, guys, don't take this is the podcast view. This is my opinion. So if you are Qatari and you want to come for my head, okay, maybe don't. But anyway, the point is, they made sure that Messi won that thing. Like, in my humble opinion, Argentina did not deserve. Argentina should actually have been knocked out by Netherlands. Like, that's when they should have gone out. But we all saw the refereeing decisions, man. Kwame, you saw that World Cup.
That was a tough one, man. I did feel like they were just pushing for Messi, and I will say Messi has a big Middle Eastern following, like big, like they worship him like he's God over there. Ronaldo definitely has one as well because he's Saudi in Saudi now, but man, like Messi has like synagogues over there. You know what I'm saying, bro? So I could see how that could happen. I won't even take it away from you, man. I see that because everything was penalty for Argentina.
You see that? It was very suspicious. But anyway, we don't have to dive into that controversy.
Yeah.
Like, let's not go too deep in that. We don't want to get you in trouble. But Kwame, I know you were playing in Sweden and all these countries, and to be honest, those countries are predominantly white, right?
Yeah.
And, as a black man, as a proud black man, out there. So
Yeah.
actually, I know Samson's going to handle this next portion. So I want to hand it over to him. I just wanted to segue what's happening in the world right now in soccer. But anyway, Samson, go ahead, my guy.
Yeah. Let me try and set the table here. So, you've been a professional player. You've been in tons of locker rooms, and like the man said, you've played in predominantly white countries. Recently, I'm sure you've heard about it. Our brother from the Forest, Sadio Mane, was in an altercation with his teammate, Leroy Sané, whose father is also from Senegal, actually. Souleymane Sané, his name is. Anyways, they got into a bit of an altercation, and Mane punched him in the face because in the middle of this argument, Sané called Mane black shit.
Yeah.
Right? And Mane got heated, and he was like, I'm not going to take that, even from you, even from another brother. I'm not going to take that. And he socked him. And obviously, like all clubs would do, took action against Mane because that's basically protocol. If you're in a team, you don't punch your teammate. We've seen that in the NBA as well. Teammates who punch each other. If you punch a teammate, you get fined. Whatever. We understand that. But recently, there's been stories that have come out that have suggested that Mane is going to be sold this summer, and also it's been suggested that his teammates have distanced themselves from him in recent training sessions. And overall, it seems like his teammates have sided with, Sané on this. So I want to ask you, as a black man, as a man who played in predominantly white countries, as a man who's been a part of all these locker rooms, who understands locker room dynamics, can you at least try? I know it's impossible to give us exactly what Mane might be going through right now, but can you try and paint us a picture of what you believe the man might be feeling and thinking at this time, to having been racially abused and then finding himself, basically right now it's Mane against the world.
Yeah. Racism is really prominent in football. I mean, around the world, honestly. But you see it a lot in football because football is always a headliner. And the unfortunate side is that racism always exists, less for the sake of I'm racist to you, more for the fact of I'm better than you. People always create something to distance themselves, right, and put themselves above other people. And so you see it, right? You'll see Inter playing against, I forget who it was that was really they were really racially abusing Lukaku.
Juventus, I think it was.
I think it was Juventus, yeah. Right. And Juventus has black players, right? But at that point, it doesn't become like, oh, we have black players, and so we'll become. It's like, no, we're Juventus, you're Inter, there's a black guy on your team, we're gonna hurt him. It's always about separation. It's always about classism. How can I prove I'm better than you? And since the beginning of time, race has always been at the forefront of that because it was the easiest differentiator, right? It was like massive pigmentation, massive focus on that. And that's why colorism exists as well. Because even if we're both black, one of us is light skinned, so he must be better. It's crazy. So putting myself in Sadio Mane's shoes, it really does hurt because then you think about it, right? I know that ultimately it comes down to the loyalty of Sane because Sane's been on the team more. Sane is German, and so I can see how there's a siding with him. But at the same time, you always think about it deeply and you think, is there a bit of colorism associated with this issue? Are they siding with him because I'm the darker guy? So I know how he could feel. Now, I have seen some reports saying that his future is safe with the team, but you know how these things go. They can't say that, they can't be open and honest with us, right? They'll say that his future is safe, his future is safe, his future is safe, and then tomorrow he's gone. And so I feel for that man because Sadio Mane is a pure heart. He definitely has some moments where he acts out. I've seen him like get subbed off and get a little upset. So I know that he can have a temper. But as an athlete, as someone who is competitive, the mindset of competition and being fierce within something is understood. So I'm sure that there were tempers that were associated with it as well. But all in all, if you see a moment of disagreement and your first instinct is to attack someone because of the difference that you believe puts you above them, then I think you're in the wrong. And that's what sucks is because we have been almost like trained to believe that the lighter your skin, the better you are than someone, which is why even in American slavery, there were house people and field people, right? And so Sadio Mane is put in a crappy, really, really. Am I allowed to curse on this?
Oh man, hey, say what you gotta say, man.
Let it fly.
Yeah.
Let it. This is an uncensored podcast. Say what you
Yeah.
gotta say with your whole chest.
Yeah, man. Sadio Mane has been put in a really shitty situation because he doesn't deserve that. He just came to this team. He left Liverpool after being, for me, the best striker in the EPL. I do not think it was, I mean, striker, whatever, forward. I know he's a winger, whatever, but like the best attacking player, right? The gegenpressing strategy by Klopp was it was only as effective as it is because of Mane. You take him out of it, you don't have gegenpressing, you don't have Liverpool, and you can see how they're struggling right now. And so this man has literally been one of the top 5 strikers in the last like 4 years. Just top 5 forwards, attacking players in the last 5 years. You put him on another team which has different influence, and I feel like he's underappreciated. Therefore, you factor in Sane's been there a little bit longer. He has a bit more clout with the team, a bit more loyalty, and he's allowed to say and do whatever he wants. So he says and does what he wants, and it gets reflected poorly on Mane, and now Mane could be out. So, man, I do feel for him, and it sucks being in that situation. And no matter what you do, football does come down to politics, right? And nobody can do anything about it, but just watch it
Yeah.
unfold.
He also got fined, from what I saw, £350,000, right? Or euros, 350,000 euros, which is a hefty fine, man.
Hefty.
That's a big fine.
Big fine, 250. It's funny, like people will do something crazy in the NBA and they'll get fined like $10,000, and and it's Mane's situation, like that's a lot of money. That is double, triple some people's yearly salary. So it's harsh, and I know that man, like he powers an entire city back home. So his money is precious.
Yeah, no, for real. Yeah. So yeah, we just wanted to bring that up just to see what your perspective was, because I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds like you and Mane played kind of the same way in a sense. Because
Yeah.
Mane's got pace. I don't put him in the top 5 in the league. Maybe in Liverpool for sure, but that's my own personal opinion. But
He's got 2 Spurs players in his top 5. Don't worry about it.
No. I mean, hey, Harry Kane is number 1, okay?
Oh man,
he's got Son in there too, so don't listen to him.
Hey, Son is my man, okay? Son is my guy. Okay, and then we just wanted to bring that out just because we wanted to hear, like, I don't think many people have come to Mane's defense. And, we've seen a lot of reports saying, like, hey, if someone says something to you, maybe you could have, behaved differently. Like, you didn't have to hit. Because, I mean, the insult happened during the game, and then Mane took it into the locker room, and then they had a little scuffle, right?
Yeah.
And then, some could say that Mane could have behaved differently. He could have, maybe not taken it into a violent route, or he could have just complained, gone on Twitter, gone on Instagram. But, it's just, I guess, I mean, there are different opinions on this, because I guess it's sort of a way to, like, I don't know if it's victim blaming, but, we haven't seen as much smoke for Sane for what he did.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why just like, we want to give, some time to both narratives and, like, at least defend Mane too, right? Like, hey, shit happens.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree with you. It's really strange. It's a really strange setup, but yeah, I don't think this would happen to Mane in many other places. But you factor in where he is, the fact that he's new, and all those things. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I think the weird thing about being in locker rooms, and like you said, being in predominantly white locker rooms, especially when I was in Scandinavia, I do think there's a big team mentality aspect of it where people will protect you because you are on their team, you know? And so when it comes to a situation like that, the person who is on their team is Sane, right? Mane is on their team as well, right? But like Sane is one of them, you know? And so yeah, that is strange. Yeah, I feel for that guy. I hope things work out.
Yeah, for real. Actually, so we're gonna move on to our next segment because I want to talk about something you love very, very much. Chelsea. Want to talk about Chelsea for a second? You know, we're gonna ask you who do you love more between Chelsea or Chelsea, but nah, we ain't gonna do that to you. We ain't gonna do that to you. But anyway, I'll throw that to Nkosi as
Yeah.
another Chelsea fan on the podcast. Nkosi, you take it
Hey.
over, man.
Sure thing, Mota. The brothers wearing a great T-shirt there. Best club in London. I'll let Samson know it is the best. The last English team, just to be precise, to win the UEFA Champions League. I'll put it out there for all the listeners. Brother, we're in a situation right now where we find ourselves in a position where we've never been, honestly. In 11th, 12th. I don't even look at the table anymore because I don't know where we are. So, and we have new owners. Our brother there, my fellow American, Mr. Todd Bowley, with his boy Beda Adekbali, purchased the club 4.25 billion. That's some bank. And man, like let's just talk about it, like as to like what do you think is happening? Were we right to get rid of Potter? I haven't been calling him Potter the last couple of weeks because of all the unspeakable things that he did at Chelsea. There's Tuchel who was sacked. We've seen Lampard win out of Champions League. Like, let's just dive in. Like, what's your take on like this entire Chelsea situation and what the path forward is to get out of this rut? Because people like Mutsa and people like Samson, for the better part of, I'll probably say 10, 15 years I've known them. They've never had me for Chelsea, but this season they're having me, and I'm very surprised as to people that support Arsenal and Spurs can have Chelsea fans. It's just so surprising.
Oh man, yes, yes, yes. This season summed up in two words is dumpster fire. You know, we just want to get rid of it, pretend it doesn't exist. It hurts my soul, right? I remember when oh man, what year was it? Might have been 2015, 14, when Chelsea won the Champions League and Drogba was running around with the trophy. I forget what, oh my goodness, I forget what year it
2012.
was, but
2012.
2012. Okay.
Yeah, when we parked the bus in Munich, the greatest day ever.
Yeah, yeah, right. Man, I ran around my campus that day, and just screamed, and that was the day that I realized how much pride I have for this team. And we've been good since, forever. We've been good. We've been better than, top four merchants Arsenal. Um, and Tottenham, they're just in they're just in the Premier League. They don't do much, and so
Facts.
it's been hard. It's been hard to see this man, and then transitioning to Bowley, who you know, as an American, knowing the mentality of other rich Americans, it is basically fantasy league for him. He's there to pump a bunch of money in it and see what he can do with it. He's thinking about an all-star game. He's thinking about extra tours in America. He's like, what can I do? I own this team now. I want to run them, to the ground. Like, I want them to be tired. I don't care what. I just want money. I want promotion. He's making it about himself, and I think that becomes a difficulty when you are an owner, because I don't know if this is verified, but I think the reason he might have fired Tuchel was because Tuchel kind of challenged him on what he wanted to see as a team, right? And he's a magician. He's brilliant, and people, fans at that level are never really happy. So you had some like Tuchel out fans, Tuchel out, but like that was definitely the minority. Maybe like 10 to 15% of people wanted Tuchel out. Like that guy was a genius. He had just won us, a Champions League with a team that didn't even have a designated nine, you know? And so you come to this point where a rich American guy buys a team, doesn't necessarily have a steep background in football, doesn't fully understand it, gets challenged by the manager, who is deservingly so challenging because he's really good at his job. He gets let go because of it, and then he just hires his lapdog, right? I mean, definitely a good run of things for Potter, but like that's not what justifies becoming the manager for Chelsea Football Club. You need a lot more than that to be the manager of Chelsea Football Club. Oh, you've had a few good games? Come on, dude. You're hired.
Come on. Potter was not like a come on, man. Come on.
Thank you.
I don't stand for this Potter hate, okay? Come on, man. Come on. Let's not forget that Potter did well, got Brighton into the league. He made Brighton play well. He's not a bad coach, just a bad situation.
I agree with you to many extents with that, but I think the thing about managing a strictly top four club in the EPL is it takes a lot more than I think results. It takes experience at that level, right? You look at Even Lamps, who incredible playing career, right? And he did incredibly well when he started managing Derby, right? I think I think they might have won second that league or something. They might have missed promotion by like a point or so. Like they were really good.
I think they lost the playoff final. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And absolutely killed it there in the championship, but came to Chelsea and had no idea how to function, right? Because it takes a lot more. It's very rare that someone just steps into these shoes and does well, And so there's a completely different way to approach things because, like, I'm a big, I want to, one of my life goals is to own a football team, like really, really big. Like I really, really want to own one. And I'm not talking buy Chelsea. Like I don't have money like that. But, I want to, kind of a Wrexham situation. Right? Because Wrexham was bought for about 2 point something mil. I think it was. It wasn't a lot. Right. And so I want to be in a position to buy something like that. So I'm hoping, funds are there in the next like 10, 15 years. But when you look at how you function at the EPL and how you do at the championship, when you look at the most likely team to get relegated in every season, it's the team that just got promoted. Because it's a completely different animal. You know what I mean? And so there's definitely a level of experience that comes into being a successful manager in the EPL. And I don't think, like when you look at like the cities or the Arsenals or the Liverpools, right? Like the teams that you're just like, they should be top four. I don't think you can just pick up any manager because look at the managers that they have now, right? I mean, obviously Klopp's not having the best run, but he's still up there. I think he's top 6 now. And he's won his trophies, right? You look at City, who has probably the most accomplished current manager in football. You have Arsenal, who literally was their manager was next to the most accomplished manager in football. And by Pep's words, Arteta was the one who orchestrated a lot of their planning, right? And so I just think it takes a lot more experience to be able to run a club like that. And I don't think Potter was ready. And Bowley being the big money hungry, like power hungry American rich guy that he is, lets Frank Lampard come back in there because he's just like, you know what? Let's run it back again. I've got money. I want someone who's presentable to the world. And that's all I'm focused on. And I love Lamps with all my heart. Lamps is my club legend. But that man failed before. What makes you think he's not going to fail again? You know
Thank you,
what I'm
Kwame.
saying?
Thank you. Thank you. I've been saying that. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, so it's a predicament, man. I'm upset about it. I wish my team was in better standing right now, you know?
You know, speaking of like managers and the big question that we all have as like supporters and watchers of the EPL, like there's a lot of talk like in the media from the likes of Fabrizio, very reliable source, Fabrizio Romano, around the next manager, and there's a lot of talk. There's Nagelsmann, there's this guy from PSG, Pochettino, there's Enrique. Apparently, I heard Mourinho and Conte were also in the mix. Someone actually said De Zerbi, and I was like, we can't do
Mhm.
another Brighton. So, like, from your opinion, like, my question here is, who would you say like is the next like manager of Chelsea in your view that will take the club forward and not just give us like 2 to 3 years of success, but like 5 to 10 years, like what Pep has done at City over and
Mhm.
have like that longevity to like keep on rebuilding clubs like after a 4 or 5 year cycle, build to the
Mhm.
next next team and keep on
Mhm.
doing that because I think that's what Todd is going for, honestly. And
Yeah.
speaking of like the players that Todd has brought in, like who would you say like some of the players you've watched are the ones that have stood out for you that you're like, oh, Chelsea can build a future around this guy, or these ones maybe we need to look elsewhere.
Yeah. Good question. I'll start on the manager one, and I'll be very direct about this one. I think Poch is the best man for it, right? Reason being, I think Pochettino, with his time at Tottenham, didn't win a lot, well, or anything, but didn't really.
Come on, Kwame. Come on, man. Come on, man.
That was a good
That's
one. I like
unnecessary.
that.
That's unnecessary.
But that man knew how to keep Tottenham in the top four, right? And they didn't really have any superstars. I mean, they had Harry Kane. I think at that time, who else did they really have? I don't remember any players. Oh,
Son.
I mean,
That's on.
Son. They had Modric for a little bit. I
Gareth Bale,
think
I guess, at some
Gareth
point.
Bale, Kane, and so they had some players. You know what I mean? Some players though that like were in the beginning of their career weren't nearly as established. All these players were moving on somewhere else. And so you look at teams like Tottenham to me is like the oh my gosh, why can't I think about their name? Is they're the Dortmund of the EPL, right? And so they have this one or two really loyal guys, right? You have you have these two really loyal guys, which is like it's Royce and Götze who left and came back, right? And Tottenham's version of that is Harry Kane and Son, right? And so they're almost destined for second or third place. And then as soon as they get there, they sell all their good players, right? And so Poch still stayed in the top four with those guys, and he did that in the EPL with a lot of experience and with scrutiny and with pressure. Um, and so I think if you want to get a coach to build around, Poch is, I think, the guy because he has the guts to do it and the experience. And I think that that's really important. It's kind of sucks that he's not really gonna finish it off with PSG. In terms of but like I feel like PSG is like cursed in the Champions League. I don't know. I don't know what it is. They're cursed. But I think Poch is the guy. I think you can build around him. I think he's got a lot of experience. I think he knows what he's doing. I think he's succeeded and done better. And I think he took Tottenham to a Champions League final. Yep, against Liverpool. And then I think it was like a penalty in like the before like the 10th minute, which is what really made them lose. So I think he's a good guy. I think he's a smart guy. I think he's got enough he's got enough season to like really understand what's going on. So I would go with him in terms of a manager. In terms of players, I do think it's like I love Kai Havertz, but I don't understand what he does. Right? Like, cause the thing about him is he is a good player, but like, what position does he play? you know, because he's not a through and through nine, right? And like he's definitely not creative enough to be a 10. He's too slow to be a winger. He's too attacking minded to be a defensive midfielder. So what does he do? So I like Kai, but I don't know if he's the person to build a forwards team around or a team with as a forward. So I'm going to be real with you. I do think we need a new nine, and we need to build around that nine. I think Victor Osimhen is going to be the guy. That's my take on it. I would love to have him. And so if we can build around him, I think that we've really got something going for us because all Chelsea has is like if we have a roster of 22, we have like 15 midfielders. You know? And so I do think we need like I can't even say restructuring because we've paid so much money for so many people that it's like going to a fancy food place and ordering everything on the menu. It's like, yeah, I've got everything on the menu, but like where do I really focus my attention? You know, there's no focus or direction in our team. We just have a massive table of everything. And so we do need to start focusing in. So the start for me would be getting a great striker and then understanding who complements him. And that's what we've always done when we've been good. Like if when we've been good, we've gotten a great striker and built around him. Like Aubameyang, for me, I know I'm sorry, Arsenal. I never really favored him. I never rated him. I think he's got a lot of pace. I think he's got some finishing, but like he's disruptive to a team and he's not a leader. And at his age, you can't be that kind of guy. You know, if you're gonna be that old on a field and you're not constantly producing, at least be a leader. And he's a terrible leader. And so we need to get a new striker. Victor is the guy. We've
Yo, but
definitely got
Lukaku's coming back. I heard. Inter don't want him.
bro. That guy's the worst. Like when he first came back, I was like, oh my gosh, I was in love with Lukaku. And then his first, what was it like? 2 or 3 months in, he does an interview and is like, I'm coming back to Inter. Man,
They're dropping him. They're dropping him at the end of the season. So it's coming back. He's still on your roster.
Yeah, it's embarrassing, bro. Like, do better. Do better. But yeah, Victor in the back. We've obviously got the midfield now. Like, we need to make sure Kovacic is always playing, right? Mason Mount, the thing about him is I think he needs the right manager because his work rate is so crazy, but his production is not always there. Right. And so we need like he could be a really solid 8 if we have someone to give him direction because he's the kind of guy who's going to be box to box consistently. He knows how to defend. He's always pesky. He's always bothering. He's always smothering. And this man also knows how to attack. If you put him in the right spots, he scores goals. But he's just never had the compliments. It's like looking at Pogba, where Pogba is actually like one of the greatest midfielders in history, like based on skill set. No, he is based on skill set. I mean, the guy's tall, lengthy. He can shoot. He can pass. He can dribble. He's fast, but he's like 6'3", 6'4". Like it's crazy. You know, his first touch is incredible, but he's terrible without the right assistance, which is why on France, he's $1 million worth. He's $10 billion worth because he has Conte behind him. Right? You put the right tool with him, all of a sudden, he's the best because he can do whatever he wants. And he's like, you know what? If I dribble through 5 players and I lose the ball, Conte's got it. You know? But then you put him on Man U and you put players like Fred around him who Fred, I don't know, he doesn't know where his own goal is. He doesn't know where his left foot is. I don't understand with him. You know, Fred is like the worst Brazilian player in history. Right?
Yo. Yo. Hold on. Come on, man.
Lord.
You know, and so it comes to compliments. So Mason Mount could be a really solid player. Conor Gallagher, who was player of the year at Crystal Palace when he was there on loan, comes back to Chelsea and has no direction. So we have the tools, man. We have the tools. We just need a good manager and a good striker. And so you bring Pochettino in and you bring in Osimhen and we're fine because you can put Kai as the second 9. He comes on the field, 60th, 70th minute because that guy knows how to finish when given the right opportunity. right? Champions League final, that man had, I think, 1 or 2 shots on goal, and the one was the one that mattered, you know? And so he knows how to finish in clutch game time when it's ready, but we need a manager to put these people together. And Frank Lampard's not going to be the guy. He's great on camera. Let's make Frank Lampard the director of football of Chelsea, but keep him away from managing the players directly. So that's my take on that.
So you're taking Pochettino over Nagelsmann. Let me get that right.
I am, because I think, if I'm correct, Nagelsmann's most of his experience has been in the Bundesliga, right? And so, because I think he was at Red Bull before this, right? And so the Bundesliga is such a different animal, right? All these leagues are so different. The way that you survive and the way you thrive in them are all very different. And I think I think you notice that as a viewer, but I think you also notice it even more in depth when you get an opportunity to play with players at that level, because you start to realize, even country by country, like, the skill set is a little different, right? When I played in Germany, I remember, like, bro, I like played one training with this team, and every goal that I scored was a header, right? And I started to notice things like, the Germans could ping the ball 70 yards with nothing, first touch, literally control first touch, ping it back. They were so technical, but they were easy to push over. Like, they're not very physical, right? And so you go to, and I played against some English guys, and these guys were just as fast as me, just as strong as me, right? Could take on any player, but their sense of the game was a little bit different, right? The way that they positioned their bodies was a little bit different. The way that they struck the ball was a little bit different. I played with a guy who actually was signed to Valencia for a little bit, and so then you think about Spanish Premier Leagues now, and it's like, these people, like, within a 10-yard box, they can play 32 passes with, unlimited defenders in there. They just know how to move the ball, and the understanding of the basics of football. So it really does vary, and that's why a lot of managers have difficulty transitioning from one place to the next and one country to the next one. Like, it takes a special breed of manager to do that. Right? Klopp can do that because he brought gegenpressing over, right? And he had the right players to do that. Pep could do that because when he came over, Pep was very positional and possession oriented, very Barcelona style. And you have players who could do that because you have literally the best midfielder on earth. At that time, he also had David Silva, who is like, I'm going to say it, top 5 best center mids in EPL history. That man was nasty. You had Sergio Aguero, who is one of top 5 best strikers in Premier League history, right? You had Vincent Kompany, who big, a little clunky, but that man knows how to ping a ball, touch a ball, pass a ball. Like, you know what I mean? So he had the tools to do so. So it has to be the right fit if you're making such a big leap. And I just don't know if Nagelsmann has enough experience playing with teams that play with a very physical, fast attack push mindset and this, like, the talent level around the EPL, especially because when you go to a team with a lot of experience, you could make it work because you have the team with enough experience and understanding to adjust to your game, but also work with theirs. But when you have a majority of your players between the age of 22, 21 to like 26, you're still molding them. And so you start to see that appearance on the field is like they are playing your style of football. It's not that they're taking your style of football and integrating into theirs, And so that's why a team like Liverpool could thrive with Jurgen Klopp because Mane is just blistering speed, attack. You're like, press? He's like, bet. Salah is like, move, weave between cones. You're like, okay, you attack from the left, give the ball to Salah, Salah do this. And obviously, Firmino is just like, that guy's like, he's chef's kiss, at his prime, And so I do think it takes the right manager with the right group to do that. And you need either a manager with English Premier League experience who can come and jump into a young team and take them and mold their game, which would be what would happen with Poch. Or if you take Nagelsmann, you're going to have an older team. You're going to have a more experienced team so that they know how to take your game plan and adjust it to the EPL. That's my thoughts.
Nkosi, I want to know what you think about that. I don't know if you agree with the man or if he's just been out here talking shit for the last
30 minutes. I'd say he raises some very key points that I hadn't actually considered, like especially like with like the age of the squad and adaptation. I think that's critical. I think the other thing, experience as well as just doing the Premier League. Because like just imagine back in the day, like I don't know if y'all remember this, but like people used to say, could Messi do it on a Tuesday night at a cold, windy Stoke and at the Britannia?
Yeah.
Like, Poch knows these things, but now you bring in Mr. Skateboard. Well, actually, I think even if we were to give the job to Nagelsmann, I think you need to lose the skateboard. I think no football manager of any top Premier League club should have a skateboard and should be skateboarding to work. That is unacceptable. But for me personally, I think you've raised some very important points that I hadn't considered, like the narrative around Poch and what he could do when like given the right material. And the other thing is like the coaching aspect. That's huge, especially like for a young group of players. Like you mentioned, the positive impact he could have on someone like Mason Mount. When you think about like what you could do with someone like Reece James, Ben Chilwell, Badia Schiller. It's probably the future. Levi Cole will come back next year. One that I don't know why he's not been given a chance. For me, I think he's top class. Connie Chukwemeka. I think that guy, like, and next year, like you can imagine, like a front two or front three of maybe Felix. Okay, maybe not Felix. Felix, I don't have a big. I'm still the jury's still out on him for me. But like, if you can imagine, like you mentioned, Victor under Poch, maybe you could do something. You've got Nkunku coming right underneath. That just sounds potent, So I think there are some things that Poch can bring. And also maybe it's just the fact that maybe we had Graham before and I was never a big fan of Graham. So anything at this point is honestly better. That's just my opinion. Like, honestly, like if it's Poch and he has the right ideals and the right like philosophy that'll bring to the club, because sometimes Mutsa, what I'd like to mention is that I think you also forget the three key things I always talk about when it comes to like building a successful club. If you have the right culture within the group of players, if the young group of players or an older generation of players, that mesh on like the players that don't play and how you manage them as when they're given a chance, how do they perform? And I'd say Poch and Nagelsmann do have that both in abundance and man managing players, because when you see players that haven't played like half the season come on in the second half of the season and perform well, you probably do have some case studies from the guys at Spurs. The other thing, the playing philosophy. You used to think when I was talking about philosophy, you thought I was talking about some little game that no one knew. But like, if you have the correct philosophy that you pretty much enhance and work on in training, and it translate over to the field on match day, you're winning 9 out of 10 games most of the time, honestly. And the third one is the structure. And that's like, for me, the biggest one. Because if the structure is broken, you're pretty much going to see what we're seeing right now. It's only now when Todd has actually brought in like the correct people, such as Christopher Vival as the technical director, the co-sporting directors, Lawrence Stewart and Paul Stanley, that now there's a strong structure in place to actually make the correct decisions from planning for now and in the future on like recruitment, the manager, and building a project around that particular person. So if you have those three things, in my opinion, you can build a dynasty, honestly, because now you have the great players on the field. Like right now, you have Enzo. No one's actually talking about Enzo. Enzo cost 120 million, but no one's talking about the price. Why? Because he's been good. You look at Wesley Fofana, same thing. We came to Chelsea for 70 million, 70 million, 7 big ones. And no one's talking about the price. But you look at the players that haven't performed as well, people are talking about the price. So it goes to show that with the right coaching and there's good quality within that core, because this is also the huge core of this team, won the Champions League just 3 years ago. So there is something there. And if it's just cooked the right way, it could be a great meal.
Yeah,
Go ahead, comment.
could I say like I love what you said there, and I think one thing to consider as well is when Poch was at Tottenham, like one of his biggest things was defense, right? Like he knew how to defend well. They didn't have to score a lot of goals. They were winning games, 1-0, 2-0. But like it was a lot of the defense that really helped them out. And when you think about the defenders that we have, right, we could probably play a 3-5-2, get away with it really well. Because I mean that's what Tuchel was into, right? We can play a 3-5-2, which I think Poch would be really good at managing because you think about our center back ability to get tight and really defend. Like if you have Thiago Silva, Fofana, you have Koulibaly, like Badiashile, that right there is four defenders that if you have them on constant rotation, like what more do we need? So we have the defensive core to really, and then obviously, you put wing backs. You've got Reese on the right, Ben Chilwell on the left, right? And then, then you've got three solid midfielders. Obviously, you need someone to complement. Which I always think Kovacic should always be on the field, you know. But yeah, you think about the structure and the players that we have here. If we then have someone with Osimhen and we can get more attack, even if it's Osimhen and gosh, there I can't remember his name, but Portuguese kid, you just said his name, the attacker, Felix, yeah, right. But if you have Osimhen and Felix playing, and kind of like a 3-5-1-1, and Felix is playing slightly below him, right, but gets his opportunities. Felix is a playmaker. He's a scorer. He's a dynamic player, But right now, a lot of the times, ball's just going to him. Imagine if someone else on our field was a bigger threat than Felix. It opens the field for Felix, And so we need that person that literally, as soon as they step on the field, everyone's like, oh shit. Because that takes pressure off of the players who can create for him. And then you think about the three dynamic players in the midfield. If you have Conor Gallagher or you have Mason Mount in behind Felix, these guys know how to pass the ball, right? Like we've seen the pass that when allowed to, that Mason Mount played for the final ball for the Champions League final. He knows how to play a ball. He knows how to work. He knows how to win it. He knows how to transition and attack. I really do think a lot of the structure comes down, and Poch for me is the man. But I do think if we can get Nagelsmann, if we get him and he comes in and he has the right attitude, there's some likelihood for success because we have the weapons, right? I love German managers in general. And so I think it could work, but I do think Poch is the better man if you ask me.
I mean, I don't want him to come to Chelsea for sure. I want him to come back to Spurs. So, Poch, if you listen to the podcast, don't listen to what Kwame and Coach have been talking about. Come back home. Come back home. Also, we'll take Nagelsmann. Like, if he comes to Spurs, fair and fine. We'll take him too. We'll take anybody at this point. It's okay. You know what, Kwame? Thank you so much for being here. Like, last question for you. And this might be controversial for you and Samson. Well, for Samson mostly. Who's taking the league? Man City or Arsenal?
Man, for me, I hope, I pray, I need to do everything. I gotta have Arsenal win it. Because I watched the All or Nothing on Prime TV. I watch all of those, and I gotta say the top one for me is like tied. If Arsenal win the league, I think Arsenal would be the best one because that one it showed Arteta putting his structure together. And if he wins it this time, then it means what we saw unfolding was the most magical plan you could ever see. Because when people were watching All or Nothing, they were making fun of him. They were like, "Oh, look, it's the cringiest thing. He got the team photographer to come talk to them." But like, these are things that managers do. You watch Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso's focus was, bro, I'll worry about the field second. Let's fix the shower head first. Right? Those are things that actually really do matter because in a team, was it who said it? One of y'all just said, like, everything in the structure of the team matters. The structure is really important. How the team feels about the team is really important. It's not just a bunch of guys going out there to play. Like, these guys have lives, kids, wives, stuff they got to do. And the tiny things that you do for them really translates into the way that they play. And you see Arteta being so careful about the way that he gets these guys motivated. And he really is an empathetic leader. And I like Pep, but I think Pep is a bit more harsh. Like, you hear the stories like when when Henry said that he was at Barcelona and Pep told him to stand in one corner and he didn't. He scored a goal and Pep still took him off, And so I think Pep has a bit too much of an ego for me. I think Arteta is still at that point where he really does genuinely care about seeing his players thrive. For me, Pep feels more like, I want them to win because I'm their manager. And and Arteta, for me, I feel like he's like, I want them to win because I want them to be happy. So I genuinely want Arsenal to win. I'm rooting for them so much. I definitely don't want City to win because, well, one, they're a shit club, but also two, like, I'm tired of them winning.
Hey. I mean, come on, man. You know what? This is what I think about Arteta. Y'all really make Arteta seem like the sweetheart of football, but Arteta is just as big as an ego as Pep. You've seen Arteta on the sidelines. You see him screaming at referees. You see what he does. That man is not just there like, Potter is a sweet guy. Potter takes care of his player.
Is Potter paying you, bro? Is Potter paying you?
You might as well, hey, it's that pot of gold, man.
It's that Chelsea payout.
We have been asking.
I know those pot of millions. But anyway, I mean, Samson, obviously, you probably agree with what Kwame just said.
I mean, yeah, for sure. Like, Arteta's, it's the passion, like Kwame was saying, like he really like it hurts him as much as it hurts the players when they lose or when they concede a goal. Like, if you watch that documentary, like, I think it was the FA Cup defeat last year in January, and he had to sub off Tavares at halftime or before halftime. Team was playing horribly, and he was screaming at them at full time, but he was like, I know you're better than this. We worked on this the whole week. I know how good you are, and I just want you to show the world that. And even his team is like, it's not like, hey, you played bad. It's like, no, I know you can do this. Like, that's a different kind of approach. And when you hear someone positive in that way, like, how can you not like him? It's because, I mean, I get the antics. Like, for sure you don't like the antics, but I will remind you, Pochettino had the same antics. Conte had the same antics when he was at Chelsea and Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
So antics are not, like, that's what managers do. The fact that Potter didn't have antics is a sign that he wasn't right for the job. So there you go.
Yeah, that man was boring. You need a little bit of an ego, I think, to really show success. You look at all the coaches, all the managers who are winning things. Like, you think about Champions League last season, and I mean, Ancelotti he's got an ego, right? That man's got an ego. Don't let him. We all see it. He's got the little eyebrow. The other game when the ball flew over to him and he juggled it a little bit and kicked it, like, that guy's got an ego. So I do think to be a quality manager and understand, you do have to have a certain level of confidence, which transitions to an ego. And I believe you there. I do think Arteta has some of that, but I think he has just enough to where he takes control of his players.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll leave it at that then. We'll leave it at that. Well, I certainly hope that Man City kill Arsenal, in the next game and win the league. That's my hope. That's my dream, because I know for sure that I cannot live a day knowing that Samson is happy, given the fact that Arsenal just won the title. I cannot go to bed. Like, yeah, that'll be too much for me. So I'm advocating for my own mental health here. But anyway, Kwame, we really appreciate you being here, man. Thank you for taking the time. We certainly wanted to let the world know that, you also know your stuff about soccer, football, actually, not soccer, football. People should get that right. But yeah, no, we appreciate you being here, man, and chopping it up with us. If Arsenal do win the league, you're welcome to come back.
Yes.
I hope you don't come back, but if if they do win and you feel like you wanna get something off your chest, feel free to come through. If Lampard gets Chelsea relegated this season, which is possible,
Which
feel free to
is,
come.
yeah, the
Like, it's fine.
complaints. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
man.
coming
But
back.
please do. Yeah. Like, we're always here if you want to talk soccer, man.
Mhm.
We always have a seat for you. Like, you fit right in. You are a first brother. You know what they say.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah. But no, we just want to say thanks, man.
yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate y'all having me on, and this was nice. It was relaxing. It's definitely a change of pace from the kind of questions that I get, and like for an hour and a half, I forgot about what else was going on, because that's you just get to talk football and think football, and this was great for me. So I appreciate y'all. I'll definitely be coming back. It was fun. It was a good time. We relaxed. We kicked it. So I love talking footy. We'll definitely do some more.
All right, come. We'll be here. But anyway, that's from me, Samson Kosi. Any closing words, and then we'll head right out.
Yeah, dear listener, once again, you have been with the Forest Brothers podcast. And once again, I've been here with my two brothers, Mutsa and Kosi. As always, fantastic show. Kwame, like the man said, it's like you're a fourth Forest brother. My guy, you fit right in. Great having you. And yeah, it was great talking to you. Great to hear about your history as a player, your different experiences, your perspectives on different things. And yeah, to know that, you're a guy who rocks with the Arsenal. I mean, you're a Chelsea fan, but you recognize that Pep is about to turn this league into a farmers league and you're rocking with us for that reason. And I respect that. Some men here do not see the vision. But you know what? He's in the trenches. He supports Spurs. I do not expect more from him, but I get it. You're a reasonable man, and I appreciate your support, brother. And I hope I see you next time.
For sure, brother.
Um, yeah, Kwame, thanks for coming through to the Frost Brothers podcast. It's been an honor to have someone of your ilk and your expertise on like the footy. I'd say thank you for coming through. It's been wonderful. Another Chelsea face here that actually understands the game. Someone who can actually speak soccer. So yeah, it wouldn't be a Frost Brothers podcast without me plugging a player. You know me. It's part of my nature. And this week, we do have someone who supports Chelsea as our guest. So I think it's only right that I plug another Chelsea player. There's so many, but it's one that hasn't even joined yet. His name is Malo Gusto. I think if you haven't heard of him, definitely check him out. He'll be joining. He's a right wing back. He'll be a perfect four to Reece James. So that guy is unreal. So the other thing that I do want to mention, thanks for mentioning, Kwame, I think maybe this will speed up the negotiations along for Victor Osimhen. His idol was also Drogba as well. So I think it's only right that he comes to Chelsea. I think, Victor, if you're listening, if Netflix superstars, my guy, are actually saying come to Chelsea, definitely do that. These are Netflix superstars, my guy. But yeah, listener, thank you for tuning in and enjoy the rest of your week.
All right. No, thanks, Mangora. Thanks, Samson. Kwame, thank you so much. Listener, we'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.